for when that motion starts to approach that TL junction. So when I'm in flexion, I'm palpating down around T11, T12, just across the spinous process. When I feel movement towards T12, that's the end of my assessment. A little bit of overpressure. Extension, I'm having them extend over my hand. That's exactly the feedback I give people. Once I feel T11, T12, as T12 starts to extend on L1, that's it. A little bit of overpressure. For side bending and rotation, I'm going to use either my thumb as a block on the same side spinous process, or use your thenar eminence just as a block on that side. Okay, T10, T11, T12. So just like that. If blocking spinous processes are T12, L1, I'm going to side bend or rotate until I feel T11, T12. Once I get to that TL junction, that's the end of my assessment. And then I'll put them into a little bit of side bending or a little bit of rotation. That was probably a little confusing, but that's what I'm doing. I'm just blocking on the same side. So just so that way you know where your lower part of your range of motion assessment is going to end up.
Can you repeat the motions for the quadrant test?
Yep. So quadrant test. Okay, I'm going to put them into extension, rotation, and side bending.
And rotation.
To the same side. So if I'm here, I'm trying to get here. Okay, what would you think? Just throw it out there globally. What is that a good screening tool for? Okay, nerve impingement. What else? Facet dysfunction. So what do you think is a really good screen for the possibility of a facet fracture in the T-spine? Or the lumbar spine? Quadrant test. Really high levels of ability to detect fractures, especially pars fractures. You get those kids that have idiopathic onset low back pain, and you're suspicious of that, put them in the quadrant test and see if that doesn't light them up. You know, you don't have them do like repeated, but they get back and they're guarded and it's really painful. Very highly correlated that there's some sort of pars involvement. Any other questions about that range of motion assessment?
Do you expect to see a lot of extension in the assessment?
Why not?
Because the spinous processes lay over each other, so like they can't.
Exactly, and you're going from kyphosis to try a more of like a neutral or normal flat spine, right? So the spinous processes are going to limit how much extension. But go back to my comment before. What am I going to see more in the T-spine? More hyper or more hypomobility in the general population? Hypo, I'm going to see a lot of stiff backs. Why is that? Your students? People sit a lot. Okay, we have a lot of variations in posture. We have a lot of this now. Okay, so that text neck, I don't necessarily think that's direct correlate, but if I'm getting myself in the position of prolonged flexion, that's going to impact the CT junction and upper T-spine. It's going to cause me to probably be even more hypomobile.
So when you're analyzing extension, normal would be like basically the thoracic spine getting flat out.
20 degrees.
And then abnormal would be like if they don't even get.
Can't even get any. And they'll start to see that from your assessments. Okay, on Friday we'll end up doing the same sort of PIVM assessment, looking at the range of motion. So for range of motion, I didn't say this, you're looking at quality and quantity. I want to look at how well they move in the T-spine, but how much they move. And then when we look at PIVMs, we're going to start looking at does each vertebrae move independently, like T1 on T2, T3 or T4, or what we see a lot of times is we start to see movement. You have CT junction, we have decent movement, or it might be a little hypomobile, but then we start to see patterns of like 2, 3, or 4 levels that flex, extend, side bend, and rotate together because they're hypomobile. So you don't see as much of like single facet dysfunction, you tend to see a lot of just generalized stiffness because of that rigid cylinder. We'll still see those facet dysfunctions, but just not near with the same, because what are we sacrificing in the T-spine that we don't in the, so in the cervical and in the lumbar, we sacrifice stability for mobility, right? A lot of degree of motion. T-spine is the exact opposite. We're sacrificing mobility for stability. So that's why you see, unless it's traumatic, you see a lot less of those incidences of dislocations and things like that because of that big rigid cylinder. But when you do see them, it's really easy to identify because it is one big rigid cylinder. Other questions? Is that clarified a little bit more? Okay, Dr. Pasley wanted to point something out, and then you guys can have a good day.
Ralph, do you mind if I borrow you again? Do you mind derobing your shirt? This is a technique on how I like to assess the spine. I just thought I'd share it with you if it helps. It's important. So I'll have them do it in different directions. But I put my hands on the patient. My hands are a little bit cold, but And I use these two fingers next to the spine, and it really helps me appreciate what the spine's doing without everything else confusing me. And I can do it from that side, and then I can also do it from here. And I can see, while you guys might think that he's a little flatter through here because of his scapula, as I do it laterally and I drag my fingers down, I can see my hand naturally form some kyphosis. He's a little extra kyphotic through here. Switch around.
See lateral first, really go that way.
Yeah. And I appreciate if I'm thinking scoliosis too, this is the only way that I can really see it on someone that's a minor. But this just takes away the distractions and really helps me look just at the spine. So try that on your partners if you really can't see them. Put your hands on it and follow down. Thank you.